There is $100 sitting in your account right now that you have already decided to invest. Not today, soon, when things are steadier, when there's more of it in there. That decision, the one that feels like nothing, the one you will have forgotten by Thursday, is the most expensive thing you will do this year. It costs $18,961, and you will never see the bill. A while back, I made a video telling you that your first $100 barely matters. That the money you put in at the start is almost irrelevant next to the habit you build on top of it. That was true. It is still true. And it is still not the thing that costs you money, because the $100 was never the asset. The date on it was. So, in the next 10 minutes, exactly what 1 year of waiting costs, why that cost is invisible by design, and what to do with $100 today so the meter stops running. First, my assumption out loud so you can check my work. 7% a year, that is roughly the long-run return of a broad stock market index after inflation, not the 10% you usually see quoted, because that number quietly ignores the fact that prices go up too. 7 is the honest one. Every figure in this video uses it. Now suppose you actually do it. Today, $100 in and $100 a month after that, into a plain low-cost index fund, and you don't miss a single month. 12 months later, you check. You have put in $1,300 of your own money. The account says $1,346. $46. That is what a year of doing everything right earned you. $46 for 12 months of watching that transfer leave your account. 12 months of choosing this over something you actually wanted. 12 months of being, by every definition, responsible. You could have made that in an afternoon. You could have made it by staying in one Friday night. And here's the part nobody says out loud. That is a completely reasonable thing to quit over. Your brain is a feedback machine. It works out what is worth doing by watching what happens right after you do it. Buy something you want, the reward arrives instantly. Skip the coffee. You can see the $5 still sitting there the same afternoon. Pay off a card. The balance visibly drops. Every single financial decision you make gives you an answer within hours. Except this one. This one pays you in silence for about a decade and then pays you everything. And it is worse than just neutral, because everything else in your financial life has been deliberately built to reward you on contact. Cash back lands the same day. Points, streaks, badges, a little animation when a balance goes down. Somebody was paid to make each of those feel good immediately. The one activity that genuinely decides how your life turns out is the only one that feels like absolutely nothing. So, when you tell yourself you'll start when there's more of it, when things are steadier, when the raise lands, when the car is finally fixed, that is not weakness, and it is not a discipline problem. It is your brain correctly reading the evidence in front of it. And this month, the evidence says the activity is worthless. $46 of evidence, filed carefully, right on schedule, which is why just start investing is such useless advice. It is true. It is also an instruction to keep doing something that will visibly show you nothing for years, with no explanation of why you'd bother. Nobody sticks with that on faith alone. The reason to bother is real. It is just not in the first year. It is in a year you cannot see yet. Which leaves one question. If the first year only earns $46, how can skipping that same year cost you $19,000? Those two numbers cannot both be true. They are. Here is the mechanism. When you picture waiting a year, you picture losing a year off the front, the flat part, the boring part, the part worth $46. You are looking at the wrong end of the line. Compound growth does not run at one speed. The same contribution in the same account is worth wildly different amounts depending on which year it happens in. Put the first year next to the 40th. In year 1, the account grows by $1,346. In year 40, the account grows by $18,961. You put in exactly the same $1,200 in both, 14 times the result. The reason is not complicated. In year 1, your $1,200 is the only thing in there doing any work. In year 40, $250,000 is doing the work, and your $1,200 is a rounding error riding on top of it. Your money is not really what grows. Time is what grows. Your money just buys tickets to it. So now watch what waiting actually does. When you delay by a year, the whole curve slides 1 year to the right. You did not lose year one. You will still do year one. It just happens next year instead. What you lost is year 40. It slid off the far end where you were not looking. You traded a year worth $1,300 for a year worth $19,000. Put two people next to each other. Same job, same $100 a month, and they both stop on the same day at 65. One of them started at 25. The other started at 26. One single year of not feeling ready yet. Between them, that is $1,200 of contributions. They finished $19,000 apart. 1 year of waiting. $18,961. 2 years. 36,600. 5 years. 82,800. 10 years of I'll start when I have more money. $141,000. More than half of everything you would have ended up with. Gone, without a single bad decision in sight. Pattern interrupt. You are not delaying the start. You are deleting the end. Now let me be precise, because this is exactly the point where these videos normally start lying to you. That $18,000 is not your $100 growing. $100, left completely alone for 40 years, becomes about $1,500. That is it. That is everything it will ever do. The $18,000 is the cost of moving the entire system. Every future contribution, all 40 years of them, 1 year later. The $100 is not the investment. It is the thing that makes today the start date instead of a plan you have. Anyone telling you $100 turns into $18,000 is selling you something. The date turns into $18,000. The 100 just sets it. Which means the fix was never a bigger number. It is a date, and a date costs nothing. Here's how to set one in about 11 minutes today. 3 steps. None of them require you to have more money than you have right now. Step 1. Open the account today, not research it, open it. Pick a broad, low-cost index fund that holds the whole market, the kind of thing every major provider sells under a slightly different name. Do not optimize this. The gap between the theoretical best fund and a perfectly good one is a fraction of a percent. The gap between starting today and starting in March is $18,000. Then put the 100 in. Not because the 100 matters, because an account with money in it is a start date, and an account you opened and left empty is still just a plan. Step 2, automate 100 a month and set it for the day after you get paid. The day after payday matters more than the amount. Money that leaves before you have had a chance to feel rich never gets spent. Money that sits there through the first week of the month is money you are negotiating with every single day, and you will not win all of those. And automate it rather than doing it by hand, because discipline is not free. You're already spending yours on your job, your family, and everything else that wants a piece of you. A standing instruction costs you willpower exactly once. Doing it manually charges you every month forever, and eventually you miss one and never start again. Step 3, and this is the one people skip. Stop looking. Check it once a year. The early years are flat by design. You now know exactly why. Watching a flat line every week is the single most reliable way to convince yourself this is not working. You already know what it will say. It will say $46. Do not go and confirm it 11 more times. And when the market drops, and it will more than once, and one of those will be genuinely ugly, that is not the system failing. That is the same $100 buying more than it bought last month. Nothing about your standing instruction needs to change. Now, the honest caveat, because there is one, and it is a big one. If you are carrying high-interest debt, or you have no cash buffer at all, this order is wrong for you. A market drop is survivable when you can leave the money alone. It turns into a credit card balance when you cannot. You sell at the bottom to cover a car repair and you lock in the loss permanently. So the buffer comes first. That is a whole video of its own, and it is the next one. But for everyone whose floor is already solid, what you are buying today is not a return. Nobody can promise you one of those. What you are buying is 40 years of runway instead of 39, and that, unlike the return, is a thing you get to decide today. A year from now, that account will say $1,346. And it will look for all the world like nothing happened. Something did. You moved a 40-year curve 1 year to the left, and the year you just bought is worth $18,961. It is simply parked at the far end, where you will not see it for decades. The $46 is not the return. It is the receipt. There is one situation where everything I just told you is the wrong move, and it is far more common than people admit. Next video: why $500 sitting in cash protects you better than $5,000 invested. Subscribe, and I will see you there.